Hello and welcome to the Raptors Show on Sportsnet 590 The Fan. I'm Blake Murphy. Last day filling in for Will Liu and Alex Wong. It's draft day. But as that Prince, as we come in, might give away, we got a special guest today. A reminder, we're streaming live on Sportsnet YouTube channel and airing live on Sportsnet 360. That's Monday to Friday, 2 to 3. Will be with you tomorrow to break down what happens tonight in the draft. The Raptors with the number 33 pick. Will they move up? Will they move back? Will they move out? Will they move in? Will they trade OG Anunoby for a Josh Hart Nasir Little number 7 pick package? You'll have to wait until tonight. You'll have to wait until tonight to find out. Lots of good content to get you through, though. Michael Grange has an excellent pre-draft setup column up at sportsnet.ca. Grange, Oren Weisfeld, a couple others have had draft profiles up on some of the Canadians at .ca. Stephen Lung and a couple others doing some draft analysis and looking at the Canadian prospects, the Raptors targets. Holly McKenzie with she's continuing her great series of Global Jam features. And of course, Grange and the crew will have you covered post-draft tonight at sportsnet.ca. Quick shout out before we get into the guests to Pascal Siakam, who his Coding for Champions charity project gave out 150 laptops to girl students in Regent Park as they try to make coding more accessible in general and specifically to women. Shout out to Pascal for that. So it is draft day. We're going to talk to Sam Vecenie of The Athletic, whose draft guide is 90,000 words of excellence. And it's the most control-F'd webpage of the day in the entire universe. Everyone's going to have that open, and when their team selects a guy, Control F, take your takes right from Sam's document. Before we get to that, though, I had the chance to speak to Raptors head coach and Canada Basketball Senior Men's National Team head coach Nick Nurse earlier today. Nick joined us for about 20 minutes talking, yes, a little bit about the draft process, a little bit about where the Raptors are and what they may have learned from the NBA playoffs as observers. Nick Nurse is also playing in the Toronto Jazz Fest with Prince's band this weekend. Of course, we led with that. This is my conversation with Nick Nurse from earlier today. Joined now by head coach of the Toronto Raptors, head coach of the Canadian senior men's basketball team, Nick Nurse. Nick, thanks for taking the time. How is your summer so far?
Oh, it's been good, Blake. Thanks for having me on. Nice to talk to you. It's been a while, but no, we've had a good spring. Obviously, the weather's been fantastic here, so we've been enjoying the time, kind of the downtime here since the season's been over anyway.
That's great, and everyone knows the last week of June or so is a huge week for you because, yes, the NBA Finals just ended. Yes, the NBA Draft is tonight. But this weekend at Toronto Jazz Fest, you're going to get to play with the new power generation, Prince's band. How fired up are you?
Well, I'm excited. I think everybody by now, and you well know, I'm a big Prince fan. I always tell the story of riding a Greyhound bus all the way up to Minneapolis to see the Purple Rain tour when I was a 17-year-old kid. So I've been pretty much a fan, a lifelong fan, but certainly ever since then. So no, it's exciting for me. Love the music, love the band, love the Toronto Jazz Festival. Was excited when I hear they were coming. That's for sure.
That's great. And I know everyone knows, of course, your music ties to Arkells as well. And they're opening the Rally Court in Hamilton a little later this summer that the Nick Nurse Foundation helped contribute to. How are things going with the Nick Nurse Foundation? I know you have a big golf tournament coming up later this summer that everyone should keep an eye out for details on as well.
Yeah, things are going good, Blake. I think again, with everyone, we got off to an auspicious start. I think our opening night dinner was the night that the news came down about Rudy Gobert, and the next day we all went into the pandemic. So we were able to raise some money that night. We had to kind of shift. We haven't been able to get out and do a ton of things, but we did still get some things done delivering instruments. Back during the pandemic, we had to leave them in the driveway or the parking lot or wherever. And they'd have to come out and get them, things like that. But we have, the Thanksgiving dinner, we were able to get out and do in person. The Christmas giveaway thing, we were able to do in person. We'll certainly be there tomorrow to unveil this new court. I was in a school yesterday, which we're getting ready to start form and fund a whole music department for a school. So we're getting out there and doing a bunch of things. Still able to raise some money. You're right. We do have a huge golf event coming up August 3rd. Got some amazing celebrity guests coming in. That's for sure. Playing it out at Wooden Sticks. I'm super excited about it.
That's great. And Max, I forgot actually that it's tomorrow on Friday that the rally court gets unveiled in Hamilton. Anyone in that Hamilton area, make sure you check that out. And you can find all of it at Arkel's Music, all the information on their socials. Max actually asked me to come out, Nick. I told him I can't. I'm in Chicago tomorrow. But the real reason is I had a thought that you might be there, and I can't let myself play basketball in front of you. You'll never take me seriously again.
Oh man, I think I might be coaching one of the teams. I could have had you. You could have said, we worked together. You played for me. I got to coach you. Those would be good stories down the line. So I'm sure you don't want to change your mind.
Unfortunately, I'm in Chicago. That's a real excuse. So can't make it work. But and look, the NBA size of the pill has been sold out for a while. Will Lou keeps telling me, "Oh, I improved my free throw shooting so much. I got to see it to believe it." But maybe it'll work out sometime in the future too. I know we got Global Jam stuff coming up with Canada basketball and Sportsnet and everything as well. So might still be time for us.
Yeah. Okay. So I look forward to it.
So, Coach, we are not too removed from the end of the NBA playoffs. Golden State wins the championship. I talked to Jamma the other day and kind of got his experience being on that side of it with Golden State. I'm curious for you with where you guys are at with the Raptors in terms of the building and the development. When you watch how the NBA playoffs played out, were you able to take a lot from that, from what you saw, and maybe take that back to your coach's room for the year ahead?
Well, I think there's always things, Blake, that you see and evaluate. For me, I'm just constantly looking at how we would match up, who would be guarding who, if we were playing in the game in both directions. You know what I mean? Like can we win our share of the matchups, which would be able us to compete and have a chance to win the game or the series, right? That's a lot of it. Is there anything, really unique or special that either one of the teams do, tactically or stylistically as well, that you just kind of always got your eye on? Yeah, I mean, I think I'm kind of evaluating it all the time from both personnel and tactically,
Yeah, and an NBA Finals where I don't think anyone who played any meaningful minutes was over 6'10". Certainly interesting given your roster construction. One thing that stood out to me about the Warriors and the Celtics as well, since that core's been together for a little bit, and I know that it's something you've leaned on early in seasons, is that value of continuity within your rotation. And I know you guys run a defense that can be a little tough for guys to get up to speed on right away. How much of a premium do you put on that continuity in your rotation? How much do you value the ability to bring 5, 6, 7 guys back who know what they're doing already?
We value it a lot, Blake. I mean, it's, I had a good talk with a bunch of the guys, just last week, and I think that, just comparing like what we're getting ready to come into this season versus last. We were picked like 11th or 12th in the East by most people. We didn't really know who we were or what our identity was, but that's what we worked really hard to build up. And now you're coming in, and as long as you have most of that continuity, you have that from day one. And then that enables you to understand what you're already able to do, right? So there isn't quite as much testing and experimenting. And then it's also enables you to continue on and grow at both ends of the floor and add new things and do, some more unique things with this group of guys.
So the draft is tonight. What is your level of involvement in the draft process? I know, when you guys were going to the finals run and stuff, you couldn't be at all the draft workouts. Jamma and Brittany and a couple others were flying back and forth and stuff. But what is your role this time of year as the front office gets ready to, find you a rookie at 33 or explore trades, things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I've been around mostly, Blake. As I mentioned, I've been here in Toronto, so for it being a downtime, we've had an awful lot of basketball going on in our building. There's been a lot of workouts. I haven't been to all of them, but I've been to most of them. We also had some, summer league free agent stuff. We've had a lot of our own players are in town, working out, at the facility. So there's been a lot of basketball going on. And what else? I mean, just constantly talking with Bobby Masai and the scouts, pretty much daily, pretty much just seeing, what the news is, what's going on, anything shaking. We just communicate, right? Constantly. And if it's while we're there, it's there. If it's early in the morning or late at night, we need to communicate. We do so leading into this thing, but I'm excited to for today. I think it's an exciting day, and you always have a chance to get your roster better today, and that's always exciting for me.
When you look at the individual players and you try to see how might they fit in the defensive system that you guys run or the offensive system that you guys run, how do I phrase this? How do you kind of marry the short term and the long term, where a guy might be able to come in and give you something day one, but another guy you think can grow into that role and grow into that system longer term? I have a feeling that you, as the head coach, you think a little more, how can this guy help me today? How can this guy fit our system today? What is that side of the draft process like for you?
Well, I think that you're right. I think you said a lot in your question there.
Sorry.
I mean, listen, no, that's okay. I'm just going to kind of confirm some of your thoughts there, but I also want to, add my own kind of take to it. Is that, I mean, listen, I want to start winning when the ball goes up on day one next week. That is the primary part of my job, right? But I also, have a part of me that understands that making sure that the soundness of the organization and the long-term, projection or vision or development of the program is solid, right? So I think there's always a little bit of, for me, I'm usually positive, right? I get excited about if I think a guy's going to be great, even though it's 3 years from now. We're excited about getting him in the gym as soon as we can, and getting him to help our team as soon as we can as well. And going from there, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, apologies for the wordy question and kind of answering it for you, but it's a fascinating thing when you got the organization, and you've obviously had a huge hand in this. The develop while you still focus on winning is not something that is easy to pull off. So I'm always curious to hear your perspective on how you balance those things, either at draft time or during the course of the regular season. I wanted to ask you something semi-related to that about how things go during the regular season. And you have a lot of good young players who continue to improve. And when guys improve, they sometimes want more of a share in the offense or the opportunity to get to do a little bit more, show a little bit more. How is that challenge for you when it comes to keeping everyone satisfied, keeping everyone developing, and keeping the focus on winning? That's a lot of hats at once that you kind of have to balance.
Yeah, you're right. It is one of the biggest challenges of probably coaching in the NBA, Blake. My answer probably is I was very fortunate to have really good training kind of in this area. And what I mean by that is, go to the D League or the G League where I did, 6 years as a head coach, and all those guys are trying to make a name for themselves each and every night so they can get called up, right? And somehow, and you already touched on this too, that the winning is really part of the development. Teaching them how to play winning basketball is like at the top of our list in developing players, right? So we always tried to do that when we were with the D-League team, and those guys, they usually took a lot of our guys because we had a winning program. They want teams that are impacting teams that are winning and playing winning basketball. So I kind of always had, that is had to work through that in the minor leagues, and I think that really helped me. And it continues to be a challenge, and I continue to try and hone that part of the craft, but I think it's part of the job.
Is there any part of you that you get to the NBA after that time in the G League and you're like, maybe you exhale for a minute? It's like, good, no one can just take my players when we're heading for the playoffs. And now the organization has had enough success that you keep losing assistant coaches. And you're kind of like, what the heck? Does this ever end? I know, Jama goes to Golden State, Patrick now going to Phoenix, and of course, Chris and Nate getting the opportunities that they did. How do you, I guess it's kind of the same question as with the player side, but manage that you want the people around you to have better opportunities, but maybe you don't want to lose too many of them each summer.
Yeah. Listen, I think that, first and foremost, again, it's really almost my whole coaching life, Blake, was in leagues that people were trying to move on from. So it's kind of ingrained that I was always trying to help people bump up and get, if it was England, they were trying to get to mainland Europe, Italy, or Spain. If it was a D League, they were trying to get up. If they're assistants, they're trying to get head coaching experience or get there one day, right? So, no, it's part of what we as an organization really value, and what I personally really value is trying to do everything we can to help people reach their goals, and certainly do everything we can to give them the hands-on experience. Like in practice, I let those guys run the head coach the scrimmages, one on each team, and give them a chance to make their own subs, call their own timeouts, draw their own plays, all those kind of things. And then when it's time for them to go, maybe coach the G League team again, because I think they need some head coaching experience. We've done that. We've had two guys, you mentioned them, Jama and Patrick, both kind of moved through there, and then they move on to bench, front of the bench, hybrid bench positions, and they end up having great experiences. It's just to help them grow, for sure.
Nice synergy with the national program there too, where you can get Nate and Nathaniel, those opportunities. And I know Nathaniel's going to be coaching the men's team at Global Jam here, July 5th to 10th. So yeah, nice little synergy there as well. It mimight be too early for this, but do you anticipate any changes to your staff, or kind of like backfilling the Patrick stuff?
Well, it is just a bit too early. Just don't know for sure, Blake. Like how obviously we need a new 905 head coach, right? So not quite sure where that's gonna land. And if that happens to be somebody else that's on my staff moves over, then we'll have to replace somebody. But just a bit early for those dominoes to kind of all be filled in.
Understood. By the way, sorry, while we're on the coaches, this is not something I planned to ask, but I just thought of it. You obviously had your acting debut this year. Did you see Sergio's acting debut in that new Adam Sandler movie?
I have not. I hate to tell you, I have not. We've been trying to watch it. Every day for a while here, and we just haven't quite got to it. Though I hear amazing things about it. And it's certainly on my list of things to do. But maybe once I get the draft and the court thing and this music thing this weekend, maybe wait, I got national teams starting on Monday. So maybe I don't know. Maybe July we'll get it in. Like, got a few things going on.
You gotta find a break in here somewhere. You gotta at least get to a baseball game or something.
Been to one Blue Jays game. Blue Jays are playing great. Watch them. Me and the boys watch them. We love watching them, and we watch the Blue Jays in 30 almost every morning. So we're really up to date on how the Blue Jays are doing.
Amazing. Well, I got to tell you, Jays Talk Plus, 3 to 5 p.m. on Sportsnet Radio. I'm your guy if the
Gotcha.
kids want the
All
deeper
right,
dives.
man.
Yeah, the movie Hustle is really good, and the Sergio and Kyle cameos are really funny. One more quick one before I let you go, Nick. I know you got a busy day, but the people would be upset with me if I didn't ask, how's Scotty looking?
Well, he looks fantastic. He really does. I didn't see him for about a month, and he walked back into the gym, and he did have an appearance that he looked different, bigger, stronger, better, a little smoother on the jump shot. I know that's a lot in a month, but that was kind of my first impression was wow. Wow, does he look good? So it looks great.
That's great. Well, thank you so much, Coach. I appreciate you taking the time. Again, Rally Court in Hamilton on Friday. Arkell's in partnership with Nick Nurse Foundation. Your Nick Nurse Foundation charity golf tournament coming up in August, and the Toronto Jazz Festival. You playing with Prince's old band. Busy time, but it sounds like you've got a heck of a summer ahead. So appreciate you taking the time out, Coach.
Okay, great. Thanks, man. Take care.
Not that you need reminding, but that was Toronto Raptors head coach Nick Nurse, also head coach of the Canada men's senior national team. I mentioned Global Jam.
This is Nicky Nurse, baby.
I mentioned Global Jam during that interview. One of Nick's assistants, Nathaniel Mitchell, will be coaching the men's team. Carly Clark from Toronto Metropolitan University coaching the women's team. As a reminder, that's ahead July 5th to 10th. You can go to basketball.ca for more details on how to get tickets, what the schedule looks like. Again, you'll probably catch me and Will at one or two of the games that day. There's a day that Canada and the U.S. play on the women's side and the men's side, and the Jays don't have a conflicting game on the schedule. I imagine I'll be there that day. There might even be, I don't want to give anything away, maybe an opportunity to see me out on the court. I couldn't make the rally court thing in Hamilton today, much to Nick Nurse's chagrin, but maybe something around Global Jam. We'll see. So that was Nick Nurse. It's draft night tonight. Wasn't going to put him on the spot for, hey, who do you like at 33? That's Eric Green's gimmick, asking Bobby Webster every year. So who are you going to draft as the opening question in the pressers? But we're going to talk to Sam Vecenie of The Athletic in just a minute here. Nobody better to talk to about the draft heading into tonight. We're going to go through some of the higher level storylines of the draft in general. At the top of the draft, Sam's top 4, Sam's top 5. And then we're going to get into some targets at 33. We're going to get into some guys who are Raptors-y, what Sam considers when he's looking at, hey, who might the Raptors be interested in? And then we're going to kick around the idea of, is this a draft where the Raptors maybe come out of this with a couple guys they like, not necessarily because they make trades, but because it's such a flat draft. Sam's one tier is something like 22 to 49 is all one tier of guys. I've already got the story pre-written of Toronto Raptors draft this guy at 33, immediately signed 2 undrafted free agents who were also in the mix for them at 33. They did this the DeJuan Hernandez year. They were deciding between, along with a couple other names, DeJuan Hernandez, Terrence Davis, O'Shea Brissett, Shamori Pons, ended up with all 4 of them on the roster at one point. This year has that written all over it. We'll talk NBA draft prospects at number 33 with Sam Vecenie next on the Raptors Show on Sportsnet 590 The Fan. Welcome back to the Raptors Show. Last segment with me, Blake Murphy, filling in for William Liu and Alex Wong. Will's back tomorrow to break down the Raptors' performance in the draft tonight, tell you about who they got, tell you about any trades they made, tell you about his vacation if it's a boring draft night for the Raptors and nothing else happens. Maybe recap where all the Canadian guys go in the draft. Again, Sportsnet.ca has a ton up on those guys. Michael Grange has a nice draft setup column on the Raptors up at Sportsnet.ca. A few different writers have contributed profiles on the Canadian prospects, on possible Raptors targets. Holly McKenzie doing the Global Jam features. So make sure you check all that stuff out as you prep for the draft tonight. To help you prep for the draft tonight, I pre-taped an interview with Sam Vecenie of The Athletic, the guy when it comes to the draft. This is that interview. Joined now by Sam Vecenie of The Athletic, host of the Game Theory podcast, the guy when it comes to NBA draft week, the busiest man on the planet this week, I'd imagine. Sam, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing well, man. It's good to chat with you. I'm so glad we're getting a chance to do this. It's definitely a busy time of year, but I'm always going to make time for you, buddy.
So when you're cranking out like 100,000 words for this draft guide, before we get into the players, like, what is the playlist? Are you one of those people that you can't have lyrics, so you're like classical music and you're maestroing your top 100 as you move them up and down? Or are you going with the classic comforts? What are you doing here?
So I would say like I alternate between three things. At first, when I started this, I had just seen the Batman. So I was kind of running through the Batman score. And then I had a couple other scores, ironically, both Johnny Greenwood scores, Spencer and the Western last year with Benedict Cumberbatch. What was it?
I'm drawing a blank on the name.
But. Yeah. By Jane Campion, that movie. I can't remember off the top of my head what it was because my brain is irreparably broken by basketball right now.
Yes. I'm surprised you didn't say Benedict Mathurin in the in that Western, honestly.
The second
Power of the Dog, is that the one?
That's it. It's Power of the Dog. Exactly. And then I transitioned into like my old reliable, which is always going to be pop punk.
Of course.
I can just write for hours upon hours pop punk. I listen to a lot of All Time Low. This time it was a lot of Alkaline Trio randomly. Moved into like a little bit of Gaslight Anthem, and then like I actually got back into Anberlin a little bit.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Like surprising to me as well.
Yeah.
And then midway through the draft guide, Stranger Things came out. So I started to dive into like 80s, pop, almost like synthy stuff and rock music, and anywhere from Kate Bush to Eddie Money, something in that window.
I'm going to try to go through. I'm not going to do this for all 100 guys that make your top 100, but I am going to, if I sense you're like overly negative about someone, or you write negative things in like a particularly flowery way, I'd be like, oh yeah, he was listening to a lot of Alkaline Trio during this one. Like the
That's
depths
amazing.
he's going to describe this broken jump shot are so deep. So Sam, what is this week like for you? Like you've obviously worked so hard leading up to this point. Is it a lot of sorting through misinformation and agents hitting you up for information and stuff? Or is this like at this point, are you just sit back and enjoy the chaos?
It's a combo of both, right? So I think the people that follow my work know that I try not to get into the like deep dive reporting games, right? Because I think oftentimes a lot of what gets thrown around this week is a lot of misinformation, right? And some of it's real, and I certainly will dive deep into finding out if something is real or not. But it is a lot of me kind of sitting back a little bit more. I mean, look, the rush to finish the draft guide is always one of those things that is just so crazy those last 2 or so weeks that like I was in my office, 12 hours a day finishing that thing. So on some level, I'm a little bit more relaxed. I'm a little bit more calm down, this week. I'll write the mock draft today. It's Sunday over in North America, and I will, get the mock draft set up and ready to go for Monday and Tuesday. Draft guide comes out Tuesday. I'll do some conversation stories with our beat writers that I can really enjoy. And then a lot of it's phone calls, kind of like you said, taking phone calls, seeing what's going to happen. And then eventually the live show that will happen on the Game Theory YouTube feed, which will be on, Thursday night, where you guys can tune in and watch me and Matt Penny just dive deep into what's happening and have some fun. But it's a long week for sure.
That draft guide is such a great resource, not only for prepping for the draft, and I know the Raptors only have the number 33 pick, but if you're a Raptor fan and you're listening to this, what is the one thing that the Raptors have pretty consistently done over the last few years? Brought in at least one or two really interesting undrafted free agents, and that's the 50 to 100 range of that draft guide. So make sure you keep that bookmarked into Summer League. I do want to ask you some Raptors-related stuff, Sam, but before we get into that, top tier on your big board right now, Jabari Smith, Chet Holmgren, Paolo Banchero, Jaden Ivey, and Keegan Murray. When you look at that top five, who are you most convinced of and least convinced of in terms of, like, I know last year it was a lot of talk of, well, top four, and then the Raptors kind of broke that up with Scotty Barnes going ahead of Jalen Suggs.
Yep.
Do you feel similarly about this top five as you did to last year's top four?
So for me, tier one players are your Cade Cunninghams, your Zion Williamsons, your like elite of the elite players in the last, few drafts, for instance. Right. Mm-hmm. And I don't have any of those guys in this class. Okay. I do have, three guys in Chet Holmgren, Jabari Smith, and Paolo Banchero that I think are genuine top three picks in any draft. Okay. Right. I don't know that there is a typical number one pick, but there are three guys that are legit really, really, really good basketball players. The guy that I feel most convinced is going to be a really effective player who impacts winning is Jabari Smith, because he is an elite shooter at 6'10". He's a very good help defender. He has real switchability on the ball. I don't think he can really guard fives, and I think that some ones might catch him occasionally, but he's going to be able to hold up across the positional spectrum defensively. And on top of that, I think he can get to his step back pretty easily. He has a great frame, 6'10", 7'1" wingspan, broad shoulders. He's going to be able to fill out really well. And I wonder if by the time he's 25, we're going to kind of look at him and go, man, like he can just get to whatever spot he wants on the court, right? It's just going to be hard to stop him, I think.
Any chance he slides to 33?
I'm not sure about that, Blake. Sorry, buddy. Right. The guy that I think has the highest upside, though, is Chet Holmgren. Mm-hmm. And it's just so hard to find guys that are 7', 7'6" wingspan, genuine rim protectors. Like, he has a chance to be an all defense player in the NBA while also hitting 40% from three, being able to grab and go on the break. And something that I often have thought about in this class is with Jabari Smith, it's easy to find comps for him, right? Like, there are guys out there, big shooters who can defend multiple positions. The best players in the NBA, they're often compless, right? Like, there's never been another Giannis. There's never been another, like, Joel Embiid is different than Akeem Olajuwon in pretty substantial, tangible ways. Nikola Jokic is different than Arvydas Sabonis and is like a unique player. Chet Holmgren is a genuinely unique player. There's not really another way to describe it. Like, he's very skinny, but he's also tough. Like, he is arguably the toughest player in this class. He has an incredibly professional mindset. He is like just an incredible worker. And then on top of it, he has all these skills. He can handle the ball. Like, we've known about him since, he broke down Stephen Curry off the bounce at Steph Curry camp, 4 years ago, whenever that was. And all he's done since then is get better. He has some of the best defensive anticipation instincts that I've ever evaluated. I think he is unbelievable in the way that he just knows how to be an incredible help defender. I think he is one of those guys that is kind of like unique in his own way. And it's hard for me to credibly assess the downside of him, knowing that he is as, hard of a worker as he is and as tough as he is. Like, I get the frame concerns. I know he's skinny. I know he's 190 pounds at 7 foot tall. I just kind of think he's going to figure it out. He has that kind of mindset to where it's going to be fine. So it's, I think he has the highest upside if it all comes together. But I love Jabari Smith, and I love Paulo Banchero and Jaden Ivey as well.
I love the way you described that with Chet, and the prospects who you read their profiles, you read their blurbs in your draft guide. It's like, man, that guy's a complete original. That's what's so cool about basketball to me and basketball prospects is that as the game modernizes, as more kids have access to videos of other NBA players, of earlier strength training or skill training or whatever, there's never a lack of new type of guy you can be. So we go down a tier here on your big board, and the second tier in this draft is topped by what I'm going to call 3 Canadians. Benedict Mathurin, Shaedon Sharpe, and AJ Griffin, who we're going to claim as long as Adrian Griffin's still on the Raptors staff. Just to beef the numbers up here. But those 3 guys come next. In seriousness, Mathurin and Sharpe, do you like their chances to kind of continue this pipeline of Canadian talent we've seen over the last decade?
Yeah, look, I have them both as top 10 guys. I actually have Ben Mathurin at 5 on my board. Wow. I'm a big Ben Mathurin fan. I love the way that he has improved over the course of the last few years of his career. Obviously from Montreal, went down to the academy in Mexico City, and then went to Arizona. It's been an adjustment for him over the course of the last few years, just, from a life perspective. And he's continued to get better at basketball across the board every single time. I think that, we consider him this guy. He won Pac-12 Player of the Year, and he's been incredibly productive. I think he averaged like 20 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists over the last, 2 months of his season at Arizona. And we think of him as this finished product when in reality, he's like, I think 6 or 7 months older than Dyson Daniels. And he is not wildly older than, I think that he's like younger than Chet Holmgren, to be honest. Like I think that we're drastically underestimating his downside or his upside. I'm sorry. You look at what he's capable of as a shot maker. You look at what he's capable of, as a guy that, when he's locked in and engaged, is willing to defend. And you look at him as a guy that can actually pass a little bit now as well. He improved over the last couple of months of his season in that way. I'm really impressed. I'm really, really impressed with Ben Mathurin. And I think that it's hard to see a world where he totally fails, in my view. And then on the other side, we have Shaedon Sharpe, where the questions are just obvious, right? Like, we haven't seen him play high school, or we haven't seen him play college basketball at all. He hasn't played super high level basketball in 18 months. Like it's been a while since Shaedon has really played, and it's tricky, I think, or it could be 12 months. I'm sorry. It's been a while since he's played high level basketball, and he is incredibly athletic out in transition. He's an incredibly high level pull-up shot creator. He can get in and out of his moves with ease. He has all sorts of step backs. He can hit step backs going to his right and to his left, which is insane for a teenager. I worry a little bit about his ability to consistently pressure the defense. Like the line that I've been saying is like the line between Anthony Edwards and Terrence Ross is thinner than what people think. They're both elite athletes. Like Terrence Ross won a dunk contest. Did he win the dunk contest while he's a member of the Toronto Raptors?
Yes.
Is that right, Blake?
Yes. And kind of a second one, because the second year, like his defense year, was that weird team one. And
that's right.
Team one. So
yeah, back-to-back dunk champion. That's right. So like that line is thin, and typically it has to do with the ability that you have to intersect power and burst and pressure the rim consistently and get consistent high level looks in half court settings. Anthony Edwards can do that. I think that Terrence Ross struggles with that unless he's out in transition. I think that Shaedon's somewhere kind of in the middle of those two.
Okay.
I worry a little bit about his first step. I think he's more of a decelerator than an accelerator. And there's a way to make that work totally. Like I would say James Harden and Luka Doncic are both decelerators as opposed to accelerators in the way that they're able to stop on a dime and create that separation. But when I watch Shaedon, I just have some very small concerns. Look, he's a top 10 player on my board. I think I have him at 9. Like I am an enormous fan. I just want to know more about how he plays team basketball, if he can consistently, credibly pressure the rim, and if he is capable of, playing team defense within a structured system, because we just haven't seen any of this yet from him.
Mm-hmm. I think those are all reasonable, and the Mathurin hype is fun. I remember watching him and Caleb Houston together on the U19 team. Caleb Houston, a guy who's slid down boards over the course of the year, but could be the next Canadian up. Leonard Miller going the G League route takes him off the board.
Yeah,
Sam, I want to talk to you about the Raptors, and I know at number 33. The answer is basically, well, we'll see who's left, because if I'm understanding right, this is once again a fairly flat draft once you get out of the first dozen or so names, right?
Yeah, I would say that I have, so my tier breaks are 9 and then 10 to 21 and then 22 all the way down to like 47.
Okay.
So like I think it's actually 49 looking at it. So like big group that the Raptors will have to do real due diligence on.
So I guess the nice side of that, though, when you lay out those numbers, not exactly, but when you look back at, say, the Thad Young trade where the Raptors give up number 20 and get back number 33 in this same draft, the cost of that is what? Is it a, like, sliding down one tier in this draft potentially? Is it, like, knowing what you know about the Raptors, it's probably just you're picking another name from the same tier?
It's probably going to be pretty similar for them, given what they look for. Like you could have maybe been in range for someone like Dalen Terry or Jalen Williams that I think is legitimately like a little bit of a level ahead of some guys, but I don't know. Or the real question is like, if they had 20, is there a world where they could have like jumped up to number 14 or something and put themselves into position for Mark Williams, who like would solve a lot of their center questions, right? That might be the real downside of what they've done here, but that would require additional assets, obviously. And, Toronto, I mean, I can't remember. Can you remember a time they've traded up? I feel like it's not something they do regularly.
No, I remember that they've traded in for the Norman Powell pick. They tried to trade up for Tyler Ennis and then ended up getting Bruno Caboclo instead because Phoenix was asking for the world. So yeah, I don't know that Denver did it when Masai Ujiri was in their front office either. So
yeah, so it's I would say that given the way that they tend to operate, probably not.
Okay, so let's obviously we can't go through every name here, but of the guys who could potentially be around at 33. Are there a couple names that stand out to you as, oh, yeah, that's the type of guy the Raptors look for? Or, like you said with Mark Williams, that's the kind of guy who could potentially fit what this core is missing right now? And I know that's really dicey at 33, but play the game with me here.
No, of course. Like I'll give you a name that I really like. I really like Ismail Kamagate out of Paris, who won the Defensive Player of the Year award this year in France. He is a 21-year-old international player, was born in Paris, if I remember correctly, 6'11", 7'4" wingspan. The thing I like about Kamagate, and the reason that I think I'm a little bit higher on him than some people are, I think he's really light on his feet. You're going to have to teach him some technique in pick and roll for him to play high-level NBA minutes. But I actually think there's a world where he can stay on the court in playoff games because of how light on his feet he is, because of how quick twitch he is. He makes some recovery reads where it just really showcases how fast he reads things. Not how fast he can react to things, I guess is a better way to put it. Like he's still working on reading things at a high level, but he reacts well. And a lot of the times, like it's recovering for mistakes he's made because his positioning is off in drop coverage or something like that. But I look at the athletic tools and he screams out Raptors to me a little bit because of just how long he is, how twitchy he is. And I think that you're probably not going to be able to switch him, but I don't think he's going to get roasted on switches either if you want to try and run those schemes by the time he's 24, 25 years old. Early on, I think he'd probably struggle a little bit with that, with some fouls, but that's a name that really stands out to me. Wouldn't stun me if Walker Kessler got to 33. 20-year-old center, posted the best block rate in college basketball since 2008, if I remember correctly. Super long, can do some things with the ball on the perimeter, can run dribble handoffs, has potential to shoot. I'm not an enormous fan of the mechanics right now, but he has some touch. Just a terrific drop coverage defender, though, if they wanted to go that way. Doesn't scream Raptors to me, but I think those are going to be the two center options, particularly. And then a couple forwards that stand out. Josh Minot, stands out as just a twitchy, athletic.
Huge Minot fan.
Yeah, forward that stands. Like I'm not an enormous fan of his necessarily, but I understand the appeal totally.
Honestly, at this point, I'm not even sure. Like, after this many drafts covering the team with this front office, I'm not even sure anymore if I really like guys or I just like they feel really Raptors-y to me, and I'm like, yeah, this feels like Justin Lewis at Marquette is another one where it's just like, that guy. If that guy goes undrafted, I know already what summer league team he's playing on. Like,
literally took the words out of my mouth. Justin Lewis was my next guy. 6'7", 7'2" wingspan. Just like enormous in terms of length. And then another guy's Dom Barlow from Overtime Elite. He's a little bit further down the board, but a guy that is, 6'9", 7'3" wingspan, enormous hands. I know a lot of teams that are like pretty interested in what he has potential to bring to the table. Like, he's so big that there is a world that by the time he develops, he could be like small ball center-ish, just with how like enormous his frame is. So that's one that stands out. Christian Coloco is interesting as well, just as a center. He's a little bit more limited than what I feel like the Raptors like to take. Because I think he's pretty limited to being a drop coverage big, but not impossible that they could just decide to take a plug and play drop coverage center that can provide minutes cheaply on defense for a couple of years.
Yeah, they're going to need cheap defense there with only really the mid-level to spend this year. One very, very quick one for you before we let you go. The odds of Julian Champagnie landing with the Raptors as an undrafted free agent, and we got double Champagnies next year.
It's interesting. I think they actually went with different agencies. So I don't even know that. I'm not totally sure what to expect from Julian this year. It's possible. I liked Justin a little bit more than I like Julian as a prospect, but yeah, no, I'm intrigued with Julian Champagnie. He can definitely shoot. 6'8", 7-foot-ish 6'10"-ish wingspan. Can play the 4, I think, but I don't know if you need both of them, I think is my take.
What if we can merge them together somehow? Get Julian's shot in Justin's toughness and rebounding, and yeah.
If you could put them together, but I don't know if we're gonna get that, unfortunately.
We can try our best. If there's a way to do it, the Raptors will try to find it. Sam Vecenie, thanks so much for all the time, man. Everyone check out the indispensable draft guide over at The Athletic that Sam puts out. And man, can't wait. Thursday night, the Game Theory YouTube live stream for the draft. I'm so excited, man. I'm excited for you. I'm excited as a Sam Vecenie fan, as an NBA draft fan, to check that out. Really appreciate you carving out time this week.
Well, what's funny here, Blake, is we're recording this earlier. We're getting this out on Thursday. They're definitely trading the pick, right?
Yeah. Well, if that happens, look, I will immediately run this audio, and then I don't know. Who knows if they trade the pick, and then I'll re-record my questions as like, what undrafted free agent could the Raptors look at if they slide? We'll be all right.
Just call me again, and we're all good. Yeah. We'll make it happen.
Sam, thanks so much, buddy.
Yeah, of course, Blake.
That was Sam Vecenie of The Athletic. Go check his draft guide out. That does it for us today. I've been your guest host, Blake Murphy. You've been listening to The Raptors Show on Sportsnet 590 The Fan. Make sure you find The Raptors Show wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe, rate, review, all that great stuff for Will and Alex. A reminder, we stream live on Sportsnet's YouTube channel and Sportsnet 360 Monday to Friday from 2 to 3. Will Lou returns tomorrow, so you don't have to look at me anymore. Thanks again to Nick Nurse, to Sam Vecenie, to Derek Brandeo, JR Monatad, and Jennifer Rolnick behind the glass. And thanks to Will and Alex for letting me hop in here for a week and scratch the basketball itch. Will has you covered post-draft tomorrow on Sportsnet 590 The Fan.